Hi guys, welcome to class. All right. Before, so hopefully you remember some of these things. Just as a general reminder, run-on sentences are sentences that are, it's two independent clauses joined together with no punctuation. Comma splices are two independent clauses that are joined together with only a comma. Fragments are when you have a dependent clause or an independent clause, sorry, a dependent clause or a phrase, all by themselves with no independent clause, no chaperone. That's a fragment. All right, so answer these questions in the chat as I take attendance. There is one right one. There's one correct sentence in here. Just one. It may be helpful to think about where the subjects and verbs are. So I'll go ahead and mark those for you. Once you find all of the, you figured out if it's sentence, run-on, comma, splice, fragment are correct. My challenge to you is see if you can find the vocab words from previous vocab lists in these sentences. Give it another couple of minutes here and then we'll move on. Oh, yeah, you found some of those vocab words. All right. Let's see here. Let's check our answers. So at this point, if you haven't already, go ahead and put your answers in the chat, even if you don't have them all. So even if you don't have all the answers, go ahead and put what you have in the chat at this point. To the person, yes, we will have Nerd Lunch next week. It will be on Percy Jackson / just Rick Riordan books. All right, here we go. Let's go through them. Yep, so put what you have so far. Don't worry about it if you didn't quite get all of them. So here we go. Number 1, we have 2 clauses here. 2 clauses. And it's joined together with nothing. There's no punctuation at all. That makes this a run-on sentence. Oopsies. Sorry. Sorry. Number 2, we have 2 clauses joined together right here. It's got a coordinating conjunction. Yay! But no, whoa, that was weird. But no comma. No comma, which means the coordinating conjunction is all by itself, and we don't like that. So that one's just a run-on. Number 3, we only have one set of subjects and verbs, which means we only have one clause. So my next step is to figure out, is this an independent clause or a dependent clause? And as I look at it, I see, okay, I have a subject and a verb. At the beginning of that, though, I don't see a subordinating conjunction. There's no subordinating conjunction here, which means I just have one independent clause. Independent clauses can stand all by themselves, so that's correct. Number 4, I have multiple clauses. So here's my first one. Here's my second one. Okay. Joining them together is a comma. Okay, that's okay. And then, hey, that's a conjunction, isn't it? So that should be good. But wait, no, that is not. The only ones that can go together with commas are fanboys. And the word however is not one of those fanboys. So this is not a run-on. This is not a correct sentence. This is not a fragment. This is a comma splice. Number 5, I only see one set of subjects and verbs. So I know I have one clause. The question is, what type of clause is it? And I see here, oh wait, there's the word because. Wait, that's a subordinating conjunction, isn't it? So if I have one dependent clause, a dependent clause is dependent upon an independent clause. It can't go out by itself. This is a fragment. Number 6, I have a couple of clauses. I've got this one here. I've got another one here, and I've got one here. The first places my clauses joined together is right there, and there I do have a coordinating conjunction and a comma, which is great, so that one's perfect. But if I look at the next one, oh no, there's no comma, which means this is a run-on. It's a run-on. Oh boy. All right, again, this was review of stuff from a while ago. So if you didn't get things right or you missed things up, that's okay. It is review. Just go back and review what we did in this section, okay? You can find the instructions for it all in the assignments archives. All right, but that's run-ons, comma splices, and fragments. Awesome. All right, let's move on with our class today. And yes, it was Christmas themed. I just couldn't think of anything else to write about, so it's Christmas themed. By the way, our vocab words were, oopsies, that's not what I meant to do. Our vocab words were, here's one, here's one, here's one. Sorry, this is in the way. Here's one. Here's another one. So we had some vocab words in there. Did I miss one? I feel like I may have missed one. Oh well. All right. Great. Yeah. All right, let me go over a couple of announcements and things. First off, quick little homework check for you. Did you turn in the worksheet? Not that we didn't have anything due today, but did you turn in the worksheet for the last leaf and the beggar? So just checking, because there were a couple of people that missed that. Again, most of us got this turned in, just a few people missed it. So I want to make sure that you checked, make sure that you turned in your worksheet for the beggar and for the last leaf. If you did not, please go do that. Also, hope you had a great Veterans Day yesterday. My Veterans Day was very fun. I was just at home, but I went for a walk around the neighborhood, and I started with one dog, just my dog. And halfway through the walk, by the time I was midway through the neighborhood, there were 8 dogs. It was me walking with 8 dogs. They were all friendly. They were all great. We were having a lovely time. It was me and 8 dogs. One of them was a cute little puppy who ended up making it all the way home to my house and then wanted to get in my house. And I was like, you don't belong to me, puppy. And then I had to take the puppy home. But it was great. That was my Veterans Day. That was fun. So I hope you had a great day off yesterday. Today, our goals in class are we want to, we're going to look at some literary devices. We're going to look at the story, Gold-Mounted Guns. You'll have some time to read that at the end of class. We're also going to read the poem In Flanders Fields, and we read that last time on Tuesday, but today we're going to go back and do a little more analysis of it, figure out what the poem is saying. Really, your homework is to read the story Gold-Mounted Guns and then answer the questions in the worksheet on Schoology. So that's your homework. All right. Oopsies. Oh, your other piece of homework is to practice list 5B by tomorrow morning. Practice list 5B by tomorrow morning. And then next week we'll take a quiz. All right, any questions that anyone has? All right, let's pray and then we'll move on with class. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for today. Thank you for this class. Help these students today as we work together, that we would have a profitable time. Thank you for their commitment. Thank you for online learning and the ability we still have to get together despite everything that's going on. And be with each one and what they have going on in their lives. In your name, amen. Okay, so our poem In Flanders Fields. I'm going to read the poem again, and then we're going to look at 3 things. We're going to look at the poem's structure. We're going to look at the poem's point of view, and we're going to look at the poem's meaning. So let's start with reading it again. So actually, before I read it again, do you guys remember what did this poem start? Why is this poem historically significant? What do we have because of this poem? Put down your guess or put down what you remember. What do we have because of this poem, or what did this poem start? Take that, put a guess. Yep. Waiting for a couple other people. Yeah. All right. So this poem began Remembrance Day in England, and it began Veterans Day here in the US. In England, specifically, it celebrates World War I vets. In the US, it celebrates vets of all foreign conflicts. In the US, that's also why we wear, this poem is why we wear poppies on Veterans Day. Poem is also why we wear poppies on Veterans Day. Okay? So let's look at the poem's structure. So what we're going to do first is just mark up our rhyme scheme of our poem. Hang on just a second, guys. All right, here we go. So let's look at the rhyme scheme now. Rhyme schemes are marked by letters at the end of a poem. So any lines that rhyme are going to have the same letter. So we start at the beginning of our poem. Blow is going to get the first letter of the alphabet A because it's the first line. Row rhymes with blow, so it gets the same letter. Sky does not rhyme with blow, so it gets a new letter, B. Fly doesn't rhyme with blow, it does rhyme with sky, so it gets the same letter. Below rhymes with blow, so it gets A. So our first stanza's rhyme scheme is A, B, B, A. My next one, ago, it starts over, so I have ago, and then I have glow, which rhymes. Lie is a new one, B, and fields, a new one, C. Do the fourth stanza on your own and put the rhyme scheme in the chat. Third stanza, sorry. What is the rhyme scheme of the third stanza? So you didn't follow what I just did up here in stanzas 1 and 2 and show me the rhyme scheme for stanza 3. Yay! All right, I'll give you about 20 more seconds to put the rhyme scheme for stanza 3 in the chat. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so foe is my first line, so that gets A. Throw is my second line, but does throw rhyme with foe? Yes, so it gets the same letter because it rhymes with that word. High doesn't rhyme with foe, so it gets a new letter. Die doesn't rhyme with foe, but it does rhyme with high, so it gets the same letter as high. Grow does rhyme with foe, so it gets that same letter. It gets the same letter there, A. So A, B, B, A. And then my last line, fields, doesn't rhyme with any of that, so it gets a new letter, C. So A, B, B, A, C. A, B, B, A, C. Great, so that's the rhyme scheme. There's my poem structure. So you'll notice my first stanza and my last stanza have the same rhyme structure, except for this added bit in Flanders Fields, which in Flanders Fields is in every stanza. So you notice that repeats there. Next thing I want to look at is the poem's point of view. I want to look at the poem's point of view. So what point of view, what point of view is this poem written in? What point of view is this poem written in? What point of view is this poem written in? Could be first person, second person, third limited, third omniscient, or third objective. What point of view is the poem written in? Okay, I see Eric, you're right on. Margot, almost. There you go. Rebecca, good. Caleb, good. Giacomo, almost. Margot, good. Yep, Eric, you were right. Not quite, Mariana. What point of view is the poem written in? The best places to look for point of view are going to be in stanzas 2 and 3. Look in stanzas 2 and 3. So not quite Ben, not quite Mariana, not quite Sunny. You're so close, Mariana. Yep, Giacomo, you got it. Nope, Ben. What point of view is the poem written in? No, Roger, our options are first person, second person, third person limited, third person objective, and third person omniscient. Yep, you got it, Mariana. You're close, Eugene. All right, here, put your answer in 10, 9. If you don't know, take a guess. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it is in second person point of view. We see that because, here at first we might think, oh, it's first person point of view because they're using we, right? We lie in Flanders fields, we are the dead. Okay, however, when I get down to my second stanza, I notice that they're talking to someone and they're talking to us as the readers. Be yours to hold it high. They're telling us to do something. To you, we throw the torch. They're saying you, there's an understood you here, take up the quarrel with the foe. If you break faith with us who die. So they're talking to us. So it's second person because they're speaking directly to the readers. Now, who is my narrator? Who is the narrator of this poem? Helpful hint, look at stanza 2. Who is the narrator of this poem? Look here in stanza 2. Who is the speaker in the poem? Who is the narrator? Again, look specifically at stanza 2. Who is talking in the poem? No, Elijah. Nope. Look specifically at stanza 2. All right, put your answer down for who's the narrator of this poem in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, the narrator of my poem, I see who it is in the first lines of stanza 2. The first line of stanza 2, we are the dead. So who's talking? It's fallen soldiers, the dead, people who died in battle. They died in battle. The people who are buried at Flanders Fields are talking to us. Okay, now let's look at what these guys are saying. So we get our setting in the first stanza. This tells us where we are, that we're in Flanders Fields. We are at their cemetery, their memorial there. We're looking over at their graves and they're talking to us. So our second stanza, they tell us who they are. We are the dead. A few days ago, we were just like you. We were alive. We were loved. We were just like you. But now we're dead. We died. What do they want us to do? They want us to take up the quarrel with the foe. Now, what is a quarrel? If you quarrel with your siblings, what does that mean? You and your siblings have a quarrel. What does that mean? What was it? What is a quarrel?
What's the question again?
What is a quarrel? This word here. What is a quarrel? Right, in 5, what do you think a quarrel is? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A quarrel is an argument. A quarrel is an argument or a disagreement or a fight. So take up, let's use this word here, take up our fight with the foe. Now, what is a foe? What is a foe? Now, he met his foe on the battlefield. What's a foe? They were foes that would fight for eternity. What is a foe? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, your foe is your enemy. So take up our fight with the enemy, is what it's saying. In other words, you keep going, continue the fight. Now, this poem is written about World War I, but it was written after World War I finished. So is our author here saying that we should keep fighting the Central Powers even after the war is done? No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying you need to continue the fight against evil, continue the fight for what's right, standing up for what you believe in. Okay? To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. Okay, so if you've ever seen the Olympic opening ceremony, and in the Olympic opening ceremony, they have, and actually before the Olympics, they have the torch with the eternal flame, the flame in it, the Olympic flame. They light the flame in Greece, and then it gets taken all the way to wherever the Olympics are being held in a giant relay race. And when one person is done with the torch, they pass it to the next person. And that person takes up the torch and keeps running with it until eventually they light the fire, the Olympic flame, the big Olympic torch. Okay, that's the same thing here. The Olympic flame, or it's the idea that you're passing on responsibility to someone else. Their hands are failing. They're dead, y'all. They can't fight no more. So it's yours, it's our turn to continue this fight against evil. It's our turn. And if we don't, now we look at this last section here. If we don't do it, if we break faith, so if we don't end up doing what they're asking, then they shall not sleep. It's like we dishonor them. We bring dishonor to them. You know, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your whole family. We bring dishonor on upon their sacrifice. If we don't do it, if we don't continue the fight, then we're saying that their sacrifice wasn't worth anything. So he's saying, keep up the fight, keep up the remembrance. All right, let's move on to a couple of different things here. We're now going to talk about, we're going to introduce our next story, which is gold-mounted guns. We're going to talk about a couple of literary devices that I want you to look at for when you're reading the story. So read the story, look at what it means, but then also keep your eye open for these literary devices. Our story is a Western, which is near and dear to my heart because we listened to a lot of Westerns as a kid. When I was a kid, mostly because my parents really liked them. Also, I lived in Oklahoma, which is like the home of the Cowboys. Not my whole life. I lived there for 4 years, 5. I lived there for a couple of years. But so let's talk about a couple of literary devices. The first device I want to bring up to you is suspense. Now, we're probably fairly familiar with the idea of suspense. You know, oops, what just happened? Ah, okay, suspense is anxious uncertainty about what's going to happen next. It's the idea that you have, you're sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to figure out what's happening next. Now we're relatively familiar with this concept. You've watched movies before where you're sitting there and like, what happens next? What's going to happen next? And then someone comes and turns off the TV while you're in the middle of watching, and you're like, "What? No, I have to find out what happens next." Okay, that's you felt that way because of suspense. Or you were playing a game or something and the same thing happens. Someone turns it off and you're sitting there like, I need to know. That's a suspenseful feeling that I have to know what happens next. What that does in a story is it keeps readers or viewers interested, and it makes them want to continue reading the story, because again, you have to know what happens. And it leads you to the climax of the story. Now, suspense can be big, encompassing the whole book, where you have to know who's going to win this final battle. Suspense can also be built in little moments. Now, the reason I want to talk to us specifically about suspense is I want you to look at how to build suspense in your own writing, because eventually we're going to write a short story. And so I want us to realize how we make that suspense. All right. The next literary device I want us to look at is another kind of maybe simple one that we've heard of before. That's dialogue, which is a conversation between two characters. You can see it actually directly in the word itself. Log meaning word, and dia meaning two. So it's a conversation between two or more characters. So whenever you see quotation marks, you're looking at dialogue. We're going to view later on, when we start to write our short story, we'll talk specifically about how to punctuate dialogue, how to make dialogue work when we are writing. One tool that authors use when they're writing dialogue is dialect. Now, dialect happens when authors write words, they spell the words the way that the words sound rather than their grammatically correct way. So, for example, in the story The Last Leaf, we've already seen a character who speaks in dialect, where the character's words were not spelled the way that is correct, right? We saw him say stuff like this, "Was," right? Remember? So who was that character who said "was"? Who was that? In the story The Last Leaf, who said "was"? If you can remember his name, give me his name. If not, give me a description. Who was he? So in the story The Last Leaf, which character spoke with an accent? Yeah, you can remember his name, give me his name. Otherwise, the description works. Yeah. Right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Mr. Berman, remember the downstairs neighbor painter man? The guy who painted The Last Leaf, he speaks with an accent. Was! And we spell the word was is the word what, which we would typically spell WHAT. But the author spells it VASS because that's the way that Berman's accent says it. Was! Is der foolishness instead of there? It's der, DERE. And then instead of with, it's mit, MIT, right? It helps us. Why would an author purposefully misspell words? Why would an author use dialect? Doesn't that make it, hard to read? Why use dialect in writing? How does it help the story? Why would you use dialect in a story? Why would you spell words the way that they sound rather than their correct spelling? Hmm. So why would you write words the way that the character says them rather than the way that it's correctly spelled? Why use dialect? Put a guess in the chat. Okay, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the reason that we would write words the way that they sound rather than the way they spell, that we would use dialect, is because you want to tell us more about the character. It helps us characterize the character, gives us more information about them, tells us where they're from. It tells us, it helps it be more real, helps them feel realistic. So those kinds of dialect helps us with the characterization. Okay. The last one I want us to talk about is dramatic irony. Now, we've talked about irony before. It's when you use language to mean something other than what's stated. Okay, we talked about verbal irony, when a character says one thing and means something else. Now I want to talk about dramatic irony. Now, dramatic irony is my favorite type of irony. Dramatic irony happens when readers are aware of a plot development, but the characters are unaware. All right, here's how dramatic irony works. It can be used for humorous effect, or it can be used for serious suspenseful effect. So let's start with the suspenseful effect first. Here's an example of dramatic irony. So let's say you have a guy, you're watching a movie, and it's about this guy, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. Happy-Go-Lucky is coming home from a long day at work. He's had a great day so far. So he's coming home, he's getting his keys out, he's about to unlock his door. Then the camera moves to inside, and we, the viewers, see there's a murderer in the house, and he's got a knife. Oh no. And we see this guy slip behind the door of the bedroom. Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky comes in the house, unlocks the door, puts his keys down, goes to the fridge, gets a water bottle, is kind of wandering around, having a great time. And then he decides, he takes his coat off. I'm going to go hang this up in my closet. And we're sitting there going, no, don't go to your room. There's a murderer there, because we know there's a murderer in the room. But Happy-Go-Lucky has no clue. So Happy-Go-Lucky walks to his room, because again, he doesn't know a murderer's in there. And he walks over and, he's just going to step in and drop his coat off on his bed. He doesn't need to turn on the lights. So he just walks right in and gets murdered. You're just like, no, I told you not to do that, because we knew, but he did not. Another case where you can use dramatic irony is for humorous effects, is when you have something like a character who has a hidden part of their life. We often see this in like superhero movies. So, for example, in like the recent Spider-Man movies, right? We know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but no one else knows that. So, like the rest of his academic challenge bowl team are basically like, where do you keep going? You keep leaving. Oh, we saw Spider-Man the other day. He's so cool. I would love Spider-Man. And Tom, our character, Peter Parker, is sitting there like, yes, this is great. I like this. Yeah, they like me. They think I'm awesome. And then some people are sitting there like, no, he's going against the law. I don't think that's right. And Peter's like, no, I think he's fine. I think he's doing what's good for society. We know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. We know that they're talking about Peter Parker right in front of him. But the other characters have no idea that they're doing that. That's dramatic irony. All right, that's the end of class for today. So I want you to spend the rest of our class time here. I guess we went a little long. Go read the story Gold Mounted Guns and answer the questions on Schoology, okay? Complete the worksheet on Schoology. That's it for today. If you have any other questions, stick around. Otherwise, you guys can be dismissed. Okay, the story starts on page 233. Page 233. Okay. All right. Anyone else have any questions? Otherwise, Elijah, let's just do a quick check-in. Oh, that's good, Elijah. That's good. Oh, yay, Marion. I'm excited for you. That should be great. Tell me what you think. Let's get to the end there. Okay, Elijah, were you able to catch up on your work for English class? You had some vocab.com assignments you were missing, and you had a couple of other assignments. Okay, sweet. Awesome. Great. I will update the gradebook this weekend. So let me know if you have any questions or anything, or how things are going, or if you ever like struggle with stuff. That's great. All right. So I think we're good for today. We'll do probably a longer meeting on Tuesday then. Okay, bye. Madison, you okay? How's it going? Okay, I don't. Okay, well, bye. I hope you're not messaging me. I'm so sorry. Okay.